Rogan is one of the most influential voices on the planet, but his rise was anything but predictable. From a turbulent childhood to championship martial arts, from sitcoms to the world's biggest podcast, Rogan's journey is a chain of unlikely turns. Behind the fame lies obsession, discipline, controversy, and a lifestyle built on relentless reinvention. This is the story behind Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's net worth has become one of the most debated topics in modern entertainment. Articles claim $120 million, others swear it's $200 million, and some insiders estimate closer to $300 million when including private contracts, back-end deals, unreported bonuses, and investments he keeps out of the spotlight. But none of these numbers fully capture the scale of what Rogan has built. His wealth is not just money in the bank, it's a sprawling ecosystem made of influence, ownership, assets, and intellectual property. Rogan didn't stumble into fortune. He engineered a system where everything he does compounds into something bigger. The heart of Rogan's empire is diversification. While most celebrities rely on a single income lane, acting, music, sports, Rogan created 5 major revenue pillars. First is the podcast itself, which pulls tens of millions of listeners weekly. Generating massive advertising revenue, even outside Spotify's. Second is his YouTube ecosystem, where clips alone rack up billions of views and continue earning long after episodes are recorded. Third is stand-up comedy, where his tours routinely sell out arenas, bringing in millions per year with almost no overhead. Fourth is his long-running role with the UFC, where his commentary remains iconic and highly compensated. And finally, there are silent ventures, investments, partnerships, brands he endorses strategically, and companies that leverage his audience without him ever appearing as a traditional influencer. This multi-stream engine produces one of the most robust incomes in the entertainment world. At peak years, Rogan reportedly earns over $60 million annually. Even without factoring in the long-term Spotify royalties and incentives, his wealth is structured for resilience. If one income stream slows, the others continue flowing. This makes Rogan nearly immune to industry downturns, media shifts, and the volatility that usually destroys celebrity wealth. And because his operations are lean, decentralized, and independent, he controls nearly every piece of the revenue pipeline. But what truly sets Rogan apart is how quietly he expands his empire. He rarely flaunts his wealth, rarely shows off expensive purchases, and rarely reveals how much he earns. His financial power operates in the background, invisible but undeniable. Rogan's money is deployed strategically, not to impress, but to build freedom. Every dollar flows toward privacy, sovereignty, and the tools needed to create a self-sustaining world no corporation can disrupt. And once you understand how big that world is, the next question becomes inevitable. Where exactly does all that wealth go? The Spotify deal is the spine of Rogan's financial empire, an agreement so unprecedented it shook the entire entertainment industry. When headlines first announced the deal as a $100 million contract, most people assumed Spotify had secured a massive bargain, but insiders quickly revealed that the real number was nowhere near $100 million. It was at least $200 million, and later reporting from the New York Times and industry insiders suggested Spotify invested over $250 million, when factoring in bonuses, back-end incentives, and renegotiation clauses. For a single podcast host, it was the biggest contract in audio history. But the numbers tell only half the story. What made the deal revolutionary was what Rogan negotiated not to give up. He retained creative control, shot episodes in his own studio, kept control of the format, and refused corporate oversight. Unlike traditional media deals, which demand conformity, content restrictions, and editorial approval, Rogan's contract protected his independence entirely. Spotify didn't buy Joe Rogan. They licensed the right to distribute his conversations. The machine stayed his, the empire stayed his, and the content stayed exactly the way he wanted it. The strategic brilliance lies in how Rogan structured the next phase. In 2024, he renegotiated with Spotify for an even larger number, estimated at $250 million or more, but removed the exclusivity clause. This was a bold move. It meant Rogan could publish on YouTube again, reclaiming millions in advertising revenue while still earning a 9-figure payout from Spotify. No podcaster in history has ever been paid to leave exclusivity. Rogan was paid to return to maximum visibility. This dual-platform positioning supercharged the value of his content. Spotify gets the prestige of hosting the world's most influential podcast, Rogan gets the reach of YouTube and the money of a massive licensing deal. And because he produces the show independently, Spotify doesn't own the episodes, he does means if Spotify ever collapses or shifts directions, Rogan walks away not just rich, but untouched. Ready to license his archive again? The Spotify deal proves something deeper. Rogan's business philosophy is built on leverage, not compliance. He creates something so valuable that companies need him more than he needs them. And the wealth generated from this power move became the foundation for his next phase, building a personal life so expansive, so private, and so heavily fortified that it rivals the estates of Hollywood elites. Joe Rogan's move to Texas wasn't an escape. It was an upgrade into a new life built around privacy, space, and sovereignty. At the center of this transition stands the $14.4 million Austin mansion, one of the most stunning properties on Lake Austin. The house sits on more than 4 acres of prime waterfront land, surrounded by dense trees, natural barriers, and a level of seclusion impossible to achieve in Los Angeles. From the outside, it looks like a luxury estate, but once inside, it becomes clear. This is a fortress built for freedom. The mansion blends Tuscan architecture with modern redesigns Rogan commissioned personally. Gone are the beige, generic interiors. In their place, deep blue walls, dramatic ceilings, antique Asian furnishings, and a layout that feels part art gallery, part meditation retreat, part athletic training facility. One of the home's defining features is the full glass back wall, floor-to-ceiling panes that open the entire home to the lake, bathing every room in natural light. It creates an atmosphere that feels cinematic at every hour of the day. The kitchen is a centerpiece, 2 massive islands, hidden appliances, built-in storage, and restaurant-grade surfaces designed for Rogan's wild game lifestyle. This is where he prepares elk steaks, venison, and the meals that have become iconic parts of his daily routine. Nearby, the dining area matches the raw elegance of the home, blending modern lighting with rustic beams and warm textures. But the crown jewel of the mansion is the custom Sorinex gym, a private training environment equivalent to what professional athletes use. Built to Rogan's exact preferences, the gym includes a full powerlifting setup, kettlebell walls, racks, sleds, machines, and space for martial arts movement. This isn't a celebrity workout room. It's a laboratory for physical mastery. Upstairs, Rogan has a mezzanine overlooking the main foyer, creating a quiet corner for reflection. The master bathroom resembles a luxury spa, complete with a freestanding tub, oversized glass shower, and dimmable lighting that shapes the space into a sanctuary. Outside, the estate opens into a lush backyard with an in-ground pool shaded by natural tree canopies. It's a private paradise with no neighbors in sight. This mansion isn't about excess. It's about isolation, creativity, and control. It symbolizes the life Rogan engineered: large, independent, protected, and untethered from the Hollywood system. And hidden just beyond its walls lies something even more impressive: an entire studio compound built for total creative sovereignty. Joe Rogan's Texas mansion might be the public-facing symbol of his wealth, but his true kingdom is something far more controlled, far more protected, and far more powerful: the Austin Studio Compound. This building is not just a workspace. It's a self-contained media fortress, engineered for total independence from Hollywood, corporations, advertisers, and anyone who might try to interfere with the most influential podcast on Earth. Hidden from public view, surrounded by industrial exteriors that give away nothing, the studio stands as a monument to creative autonomy. Inside, the world transforms. Walking through the studio is like entering a hybrid between a luxury recording complex, a private gym, an underground think tank, and a billionaire's secret bunker. Everything is carefully curated to support long-form conversation, artistic freedom, and Rogan's personal lifestyle philosophy, optimizing mind, body, and environment. The walls are lined with custom acoustic treatment, neon lighting, and distinctive visual themes that make every frame of his podcast instantly recognizable. Every detail, down to the chairs guests sit in, is chosen for comfort and endurance, because episodes can stretch far beyond the length of traditional interviews. But the studio extends far beyond the podcast room. To the side is a fully equipped private training center, echoing the elite build of his home gym: kettlebells, power racks, barbells, mats, everything Rogan would need for a full-strength program in the middle of a workday. Behind another door lies a sensory deprivation tank chamber, a personal sanctuary Rogan uses to reset his mind before and after episodes. This small room is arguably one of the most important spaces in the entire building. It's where Rogan clears mental noise, processes information, and prepares to sit across from some of the most influential people on the planet. There's even an archery range integrated into the compound, a nod to Rogan's passion for precision, discipline, and hunting. Here, he practices with some of the most advanced bows and setups available, sharpening skills that are usually associated with professional athletes rather than podcast hosts. The studio includes lounge areas, editing suites, production rooms, and offices, all built around maximizing efficiency. Every part of the building serves the machine, a podcast that reaches over 10 million listeners per episode. And then there is the cost. Operating the studio is a monthly expense that would crush a standard media company. High-end equipment, full-time staff, security, utilities, specialized installations, and maintenance push the studio into six-figure monthly costs. But for Rogan, it's worth every penny. This isn't a vanity project. It's a strategic command center, a place designed to remove every barrier between an idea and a broadcast. Unlike traditional studios that belong to networks, Rogan's belongs solely to him. He decides what gets recorded, what gets published, and who sits across from him. The studio compound symbolizes something deeper than luxury: sovereignty. It's a physical representation of what Rogan has built, an empire that cannot be canceled, silenced, or controlled because it doesn't rely on anyone else's infrastructure. No studio executives, no advertisers dictating content, no producers rewriting dialogue, just a sealed creative environment with Rogan at the center. And if the studio is the brain of the empire, the next part reveals the heart. The moment Rogan cut ties with California and stepped into the life he always wanted. Before Texas, before the studio compound, before the massive lifestyle shift, Joe Rogan lived in a luxurious estate in Bell Canyon, California. This home wasn't a typical celebrity mansion obsessed with glamour. It was a 7,500 square foot sanctuary, designed with the same intention Rogan brings to every part of his life: control, comfort, and personal efficiency. For 17 years, this home served as Rogan's base of operations, a place where he trained, prepared, wrote, podcasted, and raised his family. But what made the property truly significant was not just its features, it was the role it played in Rogan's decision to leave California behind. The Bell Canyon home sat on over 2 acres of secluded land, surrounded by rolling hills and overlooking sweeping canyon views that ran for miles. The front entrance, marked by a carved wooden doorway wrapped in natural greenery, created a sense of warmth and character rarely seen in high-income areas of Los Angeles. Inside, floor-to-ceiling windows illuminated the space with sunlight, giving the home a serene, almost meditative atmosphere. At the center of the property was an atrium, a tranquil indoor garden area filled with plants, Spanish-style lighting, and lounge seating. It was the kind of quiet haven that felt impossible to find in Los Angeles. Rogan's office was one of the most personalized rooms in the estate. Built-in shelves lined the walls, filled with books, artifacts, and collectibles. Art Deco lamps shaped like palm trees cast a warm glow across the room, creating a space that felt both artistic and intellectual. Here, Rogan recorded early episodes of the podcast, studied martial arts techniques, and planned the next phases of his career. The home also included a massive kitchen, a rustic yet modern blend of high-end appliances and wooden architecture, built for big family meals and long cooking sessions. But beyond the aesthetics, Rogan had built the Bell Canyon property to be highly functional. The game room included a pool table, a wet bar, and a wide-open space designed for gatherings, celebrations, and late-night conversations. The master bathroom was a spa-level experience with dual everything: sinks, bathtubs, laundry setups, ensuring convenience and a smooth daily routine. Outside, the backyard overlooked dramatic hillscapes and city lights, creating a sense of isolation without sacrificing access to Los Angeles. Despite everything he invested into the property, Rogan eventually reached a breaking point. California no longer aligned with his values. Rising taxes, overcrowding, traffic, safety concerns, political tensions, and strict regulations became impossible to ignore. Over time, Los Angeles stopped being a home. It became a limitation. And Rogan has never tolerated limitations. So in 2021, he sold the Bell Canyon estate for $3.4 million, making a substantial profit. The sale wasn't just financial, it was symbolic. Rogan walked away from his California life entirely. Hollywood, networks, red carpets, and the entire ecosystem of traditional entertainment. His move to Texas was not a retreat, it was a declaration. He was choosing sovereignty over status, privacy over proximity, and freedom over conformity. Leaving California wasn't just a relocation. It was the moment Rogan stepped fully into the next version of himself. A man building not just a career, but an empire. And that empire wouldn't be complete without one more unmistakable symbol of power: the supercar collection that reflects the intensity, precision, and adrenaline that define who Rogan is. Joe Rogan's wealth doesn't show up in flashy jewelry or designer clothes. Instead, it reveals itself in something far more expressive: machines of power, precision, and engineering excellence. His car collection isn't built for bragging rights, it's built around passion. Each vehicle in his garage reflects a different part of his personality, each one representing a philosophy of driving, performance, and mechanical artistry. At the center of the collection is the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, a machine revered by driving purists all over the world. Lightweight, razor-sharp, naturally aspirated, and precise down to the millimeter. The GT3 RS is not a celebrity's toy, it's a driver's car. Rogan has talked countless times about his love for Porsche engineering, describing the brand as one of the purest expressions of mechanical excellence. The GT3 RS accelerates not just with power, but with intention. It's built to be an extension of the driver's instincts, and that is exactly why Rogan keeps it in his collection. On the classic side, Rogan owns a Chevrolet Corvette C2 Stingray, one of the most iconic American muscle cars ever made. Its design, its sound, and its raw, unapologetic energy represent a different era, one Rogan admires deeply. This car is less about perfect handling and more about attitude, power, and nostalgia. It connects Rogan to the roots of American performance, where cars weren't designed for algorithms or quiet efficiency. They were built to roar. Then there's the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat, a modern muscle monster with more than 700 horsepower and a reputation for chaos. The Hellcat is loud, aggressive, and impossible to ignore. A vehicle that reflects Rogan's appreciation for unfiltered, visceral experiences. This isn't a car for quiet Sunday drives. It's a declaration of power every time the engine turns over. For the outdoor side of Rogan's life, the Ford F-150 Raptor offers the perfect mix of capability and dominance. Built for off-road exploration, long drives deep into nature, and hauling equipment on hunting trips, the Raptor fits seamlessly into Rogan's rugged lifestyle. It's tough, fast, and reliable. Qualities Rogan values in every part of his day-to-day life. Balancing innovation with tradition, Rogan also drives a Tesla Model S, representing his fascination with futuristic technology. With its instant torque, self-driving features, and sleek minimalist design, the Tesla showcases a different side of his personality, the side that embraces cutting-edge ideas and technological disruption. But towering above every other vehicle in the collection is the Hennessy Venom F5, one of the most extreme hypercars ever built. Engineered to surpass 300 miles per hour, the Venom F5 is a physics-defying machine, produced in extremely limited numbers. Owning one is not simply a sign of wealth, it's a sign of exclusivity, a reminder that Rogan operates in a world far removed from ordinary celebrity luxury. The Venom F5 is the purest expression of speed and adrenaline, and Rogan's ownership of it speaks to his relentless pursuit of intensity in every form. Rogan's car collection is not about showing off, it's about feeling alive. It's about experiencing engineering at its highest level. It's about passion over flash, precision over decoration, and raw performance over status. His cars are a reflection of his personality, powerful, dynamic, uncompromising, and built for movement. And just like the machines he drives, Rogan's life continues accelerating, faster, louder, and freer than ever. Joe Rogan's daily lifestyle is a meticulously engineered system, a collection of habits designed to keep his mind sharp, his body powerful, and his life insulated from the chaos of fame. Every morning begins with discipline, not indulgence. While most celebrities start their days in spa robes and luxury breakfasts, Rogan begins his with high-intensity training sessions inside his custom-built gym, the Sorinex facility that rivals professional athletic complexes. The walls gleam with stainless steel racks, kettlebell towers, Olympic bars, echo bikes, and specialized equipment only elite strength coaches use. His training style is rugged and primal. Kettlebell flows that push endurance to its limits, powerlifting sets that test strength, and functional MMA-based movements that keep him agile and fight-ready. Rogan's workouts are not casual routines, they are expressions of philosophy. Each session reinforces his belief in voluntary hardship, choosing struggle to stay resilient. The goal isn't to look good on camera, it's to build a body capable of handling stress, age, and the demands of running a multi-million-dollar media empire. His regimen includes jiu-jitsu rolls, heavy bag drills, striking combinations, and mobility work, integrating decades of martial arts into a cohesive program. Every sweat-soaked workout is paired with cold plunges and infrared sauna sessions to boost circulation, recovery, and mental clarity. Then comes his diet, an ever-evolving experiment grounded in wild game, clean meats, and nutrient-dense foods. Rogan regularly cooks elk steaks, venison, and other wild proteins he hunts himself. His meals are simple but deliberate: high protein, minimal sugar, and often zero processed food. Supplements, vitamins, and performance enhancers line his kitchen like tools in a laboratory, each chosen to optimize energy, focus, and longevity. This is not celebrity dieting, it's biological strategy. But Rogan's lifestyle is not built solely on intensity. He knows when to shift gears. His isolation tank room, dimly lit, silent, and filled with a mixture of water and high-grade Epsom salts, is one of the most important spaces in his entire routine. Floating in pitch-black nothingness, Rogan disconnects from external stimuli and dives into deep mental restoration. He has credited the tank with helping him solve creative problems, decompress from high-stress workloads, and reconnect with thoughts that get drowned out in daily noise. Then there's hunting, one of Rogan's deepest passions. He travels across states, tracking elk and other game with world-class compound bows. Hunting for Rogan is not sport, it's a meditative process. It brings him into nature, forces patience, and demands mastery over breathing, precision, and presence. Bringing home ethically harvested meat reinforces his philosophy of responsibility, self-sufficiency, and respecting the natural world. It also anchors his carnivore-forward diet, which fuels his training and mental energy. The beauty of Rogan's lifestyle is that nothing in it is accidental. Every habit, every tool, every physical challenge exists to support a singular mission: maintaining the clarity, strength, and independence needed to run the largest podcast in the world. His wealth buys access to the best equipment, the best foods, and the best recovery tools. But it's his discipline that turns these luxuries into weapons for longevity, and this structured, optimized daily life feeds directly into the influence that surrounds him, which becomes even clearer when looking at the powerful individuals orbiting his world. Joe Rogan's influence is not just measured in views, downloads, or Spotify contracts. It's measured in the people who sit across from him. His inner circle is not a Hollywood clique or a curated list of celebrity friends. It's a network, a living ecosystem of thinkers, fighters, comedians, scientists, doctors, entrepreneurs, and billionaires. People with massive global impact gravitate toward his studio because Rogan offers something they can't get anywhere else: a platform without filters, without time limits, and without agendas. Inside his Austin studio, presidents of major tech companies sit beside UFC champions. Legendary comedians swap stories with neuroscientists, psychologists debate philosophers, survival experts laugh next to actors. World-famous musicians open up about insecurities they've never shared publicly. The environment Rogan created doesn't just attract influential guests, it encourages them to speak with unprecedented honesty. That authenticity generates viral moments, sparks global conversations, and shifts narratives that millions of people follow. But Rogan's inner circle extends beyond podcast guests. His closest allies include some of the most respected figures in martial arts: black belts, fight coaches, UFC legends, and jiu-jitsu masters. These relationships keep him grounded. Fighters don't care about fame, they care about skill, respect, and truth. These friendships bring Rogan balance, reminding him of the physical world, discipline, and humility. Alongside them stand comedians, his original tribe, people like Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, Joey Diaz, Andrew Santino, and many more. They know Rogan before the fame, before the headlines, before the Spotify millions. They bring humor, chaos, and authenticity to his life in ways no business partnership ever could. The intellectual side of Rogan's network is equally powerful. He regularly engages with scientists like Lex Fridman, Jordan Peterson, and Andrew Huberman, figures who shape global discussions about psychology, biology, politics, and future technology. Rogan's conversations with these thinkers influence millions of viewers, shaping opinions on everything from mental health to nutrition to society. This makes Rogan a cultural force. Not because he claims to be an expert, but because he sits at the crossroads of worlds that rarely collide. Political figures have also entered Rogan's orbit, seeking the kind of long-form exposure mainstream interviews can't provide. Leaders, commentators, and policy influencers view his podcast as a place to speak directly to the public. Without filters, Rogan doesn't claim political allegiance, which makes his platform even more valuable. He is unpredictable, independent, and uninterested in playing the media's game. But this influence comes with pressure. Being the host who can shift global discourse means every conversation invites scrutiny. Opponents frame him as dangerous, supporters see him as a truth seeker. Either way, his influence is undeniable, and the power of this influence forms the core of the next chapter, the world of controversy that surrounds him. Joe Rogan stands at the epicenter of modern cultural conflict, a position few entertainers ever reach. His influence is so large, so widespread, and so unpredictable that every word he says is dissected by millions. Supporters praise his honesty. Critics accuse him of misinformation. Fans call him a free thinker. Opponents call him irresponsible. But what almost no one realizes is that Rogan's entire empire was designed to survive controversy. Unlike traditional celebrities tied to networks, studios, or production deals, Rogan cannot be easily pressured. No company controls his studio. No executives oversee his content. His Spotify deal was structured to protect his autonomy. His YouTube presence operates independently. His live comedy tours sell out regardless of headlines. Even if every major platform vanished tomorrow, Rogan could relaunch his show on his own server and instantly regain millions of listeners. The infrastructure of his empire is built to be unstoppable. This independence is the very reason his controversies become so amplified. When Rogan comments on politics, health advice, cultural issues, or global conflicts, the ripple effects extend far beyond entertainment. Critics attack him because he is one of the few individuals who cannot be silenced through traditional means. Every attempt to shut him down only strengthens his audience, reinforcing the perception that he is a truth-teller in a world of scripted media. Rogan himself rejects the idea of being a political leader or cultural authority. He positions himself as a curious comedian, a conversationalist, a guy who asks questions rather than dictates answers. But because his platform reaches tens of millions, even a casual comment can become international news. Journalists analyze him, politicians react to him, and institutions see him as either a threat or an asset. The controversies surrounding Rogan reveal a deeper message about modern culture. People trust authenticity more than institutions. They trust long conversations more than headlines. They trust messy honesty over sanitized narratives. Rogan operates in that space, raw, unedited, and unfiltered, and that makes him impossible to fit into traditional categories. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Rogan's influence is how he responds to the storms that surround him. He doesn't retreat. He doesn't change his format. He doesn't bend to pressure. He continues talking, questioning, exploring, uninterrupted. And this resilience leads directly into the final piece of his empire, the philosophy behind the power he wields. At the center of Joe Rogan's extraordinary wealth, influence, and lifestyle is a philosophy that shapes every decision he makes. His empire is not built on fame or power or traditional ambition. It is built on freedom. The freedom to speak, to think, to live, and to explore life without limitation. That freedom is the spine of his success, and the reason his lifestyle looks so different from the typical celebrity blueprint. Rogan's guiding belief is simple. A person should build a life that cannot be controlled by external forces. This belief shows up in every part of his empire. His Austin mansion gives him physical space and privacy. His studio compound gives him creative independence. His wealth gives him security. His training keeps him strong. His hunting connects him to nature. His isolation tank keeps him mentally grounded. Every ritual reinforces autonomy. He is not driven by luxury for the sake of display. To Rogan, material possessions are tools, not trophies. His cars reflect engineering excellence, not status. His home reflects peace and space, not opulence. His gym reflects discipline, not vanity. His studio reflects self-reliance, not fame. Everything he purchases serves his purpose, expanding freedom, strengthening health, and fueling curiosity. Rogan's worldview blends science, philosophy, athleticism, and introspection. He champions self-improvement, not perfection. He values open debate, not rigid ideology. He believes people should push themselves physically, challenge themselves mentally, and confront their fears instead of avoiding them. His life is a constant experiment, an ongoing pursuit of clarity, truth, and better understanding. But beneath all of this sophistication lies something profoundly simple. Joe Rogan wants to live life on his own terms. Every dollar he earns, every decision he makes, every habit he forms is designed to protect the autonomy he spent decades building. It is the ultimate expression of independence in a world where most public figures operate inside constraints they cannot escape. Rogan's story is not just about wealth, it's about what wealth can buy when it is used intelligently. Not excess, not image, but freedom. Freedom to speak, freedom to create, freedom to retreat, freedom to explore, freedom to evolve. In the end, Joe Rogan's empire is not a monument to success. It is a blueprint for living powerfully, privately, and unapologetically. It is a life defined not by what others expect of him, but by what he demands of himself, and that, more than the money, the mansions, or the machines, is the real luxury he has earned.